Welcome to the WACO Experience, an American story.
We, the people.
With your host, D. Scott Smith.
In order to form a more perfect union.
Interviews with leaders in business, government, and nonprofit organizations.
Promote the general welfare.
Jobs, products and services, and infrastructure for strong communities. Secure
the blessings of liberty.
The WACO Experience is an American story, a story of communities across America. It is your story.
We do have a gang problem here. The majority of those folks are between the ages of 11 and 14. The more mentorship, the more influence, the more kids in our community see that adults care, I hope to shut off some of that pipeline.
In this episode of the WACO Experience, an American story, I talk with McLennan County District Attorney Jost Tetens. I'm your host, D. Scott Smith. You can learn more about this program and sponsors and find links to the podcast version of this program online at thewacoexperience.com. Our sponsors, they are the best. White Bluffs Construction, custom building, home remodeling. I encourage you, give Seth a call at 254-227-2002 and schedule White Bluffs Construction to build your patio, deck, or pergola. Visit their website, whitebluffsconstruction.com. My wife and I had questions about our healthcare insurance. Monica Shannon of Texas Healthcare for You listened to us, answered our questions, and helped my family find the right coverage. Call Monica today at 254-339-3421. Visit the website, txhealthcareforyou.com. That's txhealthcare, the number 4 and the letter U.com. Biddy and Beau's Coffee offers hot and cold beverages, catering, and provides employment for people with disabilities. Visit Biddy and Beau's Coffee today at 110 Franklin in Waco. ChordBuddy is the world's best way to learn guitar. 100% U.S. made. Learn to play guitar today at ChordBuddy.com. Cactus Rose Ranch. Young or old or in between, learning how to work with a horse is confidence building. Cactus Rose Ranch offers individual lessons or monthly memberships. Contact them for riding lessons or ranch parties and their nonprofit program, Healing Heroes with Horses, online at thecactusroseranch.com. So here we are for part 2, our interview with District Attorney Jost Tetens. Thank you, Josh, for coming across the street and spending time with us today.
Yes, sir. I love Glory Bell Coffee. I'll put a plug in for them because each time I walk in, and it happened today as I'm getting a drink, wow, you have a lot of points. Well, I'm across the street. So yes, I do. It's good stuff, though.
Well, I am your host, D. Scott Smith. This is the WACO Experience, an American story. In the last episode, we talked about what it means to be a district attorney, what kind of work that is, the types of cases. And then when you came in, there was a big backlog. You've been able to address that, hire staff, get work done. And then we talked a little bit about your background as you came in as a defense attorney. And then there was a need for a new district attorney. You put your name in the ring. You went out there into the public and said, hire me.
Yes, sir.
To the voters. Tell me about that process.
Well, I have a different perspective than my wife, but I loved it. There were long days, long nights, many months of parades, throwing candy, knocking on doors, attending forums. Ultimately, my message was we needed somebody with criminal law experience. We needed somebody to rebuild poor relationships with law enforcement. We needed to address our specialty court cases, which includes folks with mental health problems, drug addictions, and veterans. Those courts were not being utilized. And ultimately, we needed to, again, address the backlog that we've talked about of cases that were literally piling up. And we had individuals, I think the oldest one, when I walked in the door, somebody had been in our county jail waiting for trial for 5 years. Creating a system, rebuilding relationships, and moving cases. All of those work together, and so it's hard for me to say we prioritized one over another. It took all of that to make those changes happen.
So you campaigned, you got elected, been about 3 years. Let's talk about your background. You mentioned them in the last episode that your father was a law enforcement officer. You wanted to get into the DA work out of law school. Jobs weren't open, but you found an opportunity on the defense side. How did you decide to go into being an attorney as opposed to law enforcement?
Much like I tell our young interns, don't go to law school. My father said, don't become a police officer. But at the same time, it was a world that I was brought up in. His grandfather, my great-grandfather, was a deputy sheriff. We've had some other folks in various family tree down the line, down the branch, that were also involved in law enforcement. So it's always just been something that I grew up with and was an interest. I knew I wanted to do something in law enforcement. When I was at Baylor undergrad, I got very involved and interested in politics. I did international studies, was my major. I was in the BIC. I was doing all of these things politically, community-oriented, and that ultimately led to, well, what's next? You go to law school. But even at that point, then I knew I wanted to be in the courtroom. I wanted to be out in the community. I could not sit behind a desk and read contracts all day long. So that's how I ended up then at Baylor Law, because they were so well known and well regarded for their trial court program. I survived barely, but it was what propelled me into this position that I'm in now.
We talked about your leadership style. Hire the right people, let them do the job. Let's talk about mentorship when you were a student. Let's talk about mentors, those who influenced you.
Certainly. In undergraduate, probably my biggest fan, and likewise, he's mine. Dr. Curry was my advisor. He helped guide me, provide opportunities, let me know about different speakers that were going to be on campus or around campus. He let me know about different programs, studies abroad. Because of him, I ended up interning at the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. for a semester, and then taking classes while I was there at American University. Invaluable to be able to be up in D.C. in the justice world. I mean, as a kid, looking back, I was a baby getting to do those things. And part of the position at the DOJ, because again, he knew my interests, I would go to Congress then and track federal legislation relating to criminal law. After that, when I got back, there was the Bob Bullock Scholars Program. We were the very first class. There were 5 of us, myself being one, that was selected again with help with Dr. Curry. The 5 of us were paid legislative aides and during the Texas legislative session. I got assigned to Senator Jane Nelson, again, reviewing legislation, helping her prepare for hearings, whatever it might be, votes. Why do you vote for this bill? Why do you vote against that one? Talking to constituents. That mentorship was incredible. That ultimately then, of course, led then to law school. Mentorship in law school, I've said it on our first episode, WACO's just big enough. You meet people, you know people. Even as a baby law student, I was able to get internships. I was at the courthouse. I was interning with the district attorney's office, with criminal defense attorneys as well. People would, of course, come again to the law school and speak. I was a part of the Federalist Society, so then I got to help bring speakers in. And so you had law professors there. Professor Sayre was our criminal professor, also very influential. But then again, just community leaders. That's something that I try to do with my interns. I joke, I tell them not to go to law school. I try to, again, provide them with options, experiences, and let them know about things that they can do and get involved in. It's rewarding to see folks that are interested at that level. They're not just checking the box. They're not just going to class. They're not reading a book. And I was the same way. I wanted to get there and do it. And so there were so many people ready and willing to help guide me through that process.
In the last episode, you were in private practice for a number of years. You were involved in the community on board with like Rappaport. Talk about some of the other involvements that you've had in the community and these organizations and how important that is to building the type of society that you would like to see sitting from the DA's office.
My parents were both very involved outside of work as well. And I think sometimes people make assumptions that it takes too much time or it's too hard to get involved, or there might be some fear factor there of, well, I don't know what I would do or how I would help. I literally got an email this morning that said, will you come read a book to kids? Yes, I can come and read a book to a child, to a classroom, and take 30 minutes. Great. But I was involved with Rappaport. I was on their school board for many, many years. Again, I'm not a money guy like you, but I somehow got voluntold that I was going to be the treasurer of the African American Chamber of Commerce at one point. I worked with the WACO Chamber Public Policy Committee. I became the president of the Belle Meade Chamber of Commerce. These opportunities are out there. It doesn't take that much time. It doesn't take rocket science. There are others there that want you to help. They need you to help. You can, in organizations, whatever it might be, from the biggest chamber to the smallest, to a school board, whatever it is, you are changing lives, and you can see that happen through that community involvement. If there's an area that I would direct people to, it would be children, just because in the juvenile world now, I saw it a little bit on the defense through clients, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 clients a month compared to hundreds of cases that are being reviewed in our office for juveniles. That is an area that the dominoes fall very quickly. The more mentorship, the more influence, the more kids in our community see that adults care. Again, it doesn't take, it can be reading a book, but they care, and they're watching, and they're listening to them. I hope to shut off some of that pipeline.
Just a few blocks from here, we were recording with Congressman Pete Sessions. And we were talking about his experience as an Eagle Scout and how that influenced him, his father, and both of his sons. And one of the things that he talked about was the lack of adults that see the value in being that leader and being that mentor and filling those roles. And so what I hear you saying is that it could be just as simple as reading a book. It doesn't require you to be the chamber president,
right? The
organization president or treasurer.
Gosh, and along those same lines, donating to organizations. I don't have a lot of money. I was at a recent event. CareNet had a table for donations. They were happy to get a box of diapers. They were happy to get some formula. They're not asking for $10,000 table sponsors at a fundraiser, although they appreciate those, I'm sure. But again, people can get involved at whatever level they can afford to, whether that's money or time. It doesn't take that much. I can't stress that enough. Even within your own church, your church has outreach opportunities. Ask a pastor, how can I help? Are you guys doing anything this weekend? I know here at Glory Bell, they have events all the time for the community. You could set up tables, pick up chairs. You're helping somebody.
I was just over at Meals on Wheels recording with James Jarman. And one of the things they do is pet food, because they're working with seniors who are housebound. Animals, pets, cats, dogs make great companions. They help alleviate that loneliness. Meals on Wheels provides pet food, so someone could drop in a bag of dog food. Not very much money, but certainly going to benefit somebody's life. Let's talk about the future. We got the district attorney's office. You'll be back on the ballot next year.
Yes, sir.
There's more to do. Let's talk about the future for this year and into the rest of this decade.
Well, I'm going to pat my office and the team on the back here, because without our involvement, just again working so closely and directly with law enforcement and our courts, we wouldn't be where we are today. We would not have changed a docket even as late as the beginning or the end of, I should say, probably the end of last year, where we're trying cases in the teens, 2016, 2017, 2018. That's how old some of these cases are. And then they just sat there for years and years in the office. We've moved those. We created an intake department. So that went from 0 to 3, which makes a massive difference when you're going through cases. Before, it was an as needed, if you can, maybe. And so when we came in, there were literally boxes upon boxes upon boxes of files that nobody had ever looked at. That was, again, part of that priority ball of moving cases and resolving them. So that's been a huge accomplishment. It doesn't come without some sacrifice, and that is the new cases that are coming in. So I mentioned we moved over 5,000 resolved. Well, we got 4,000 new ones that came in. Continuing into the future, we are going to have folks that are trained, can efficiently review cases, effectively move them in the docket. And I think that we can do that. We are doing it. Also, like I said, this problem isn't going to be solved overnight. It didn't get here overnight. So I hope to continue to address that with staff and priorities, and again, training law enforcement and have them train us.
So here on the WACO Experience, an American Story, we've got Josh Tetens, District Attorney. We're sitting in Glory Bell Coffee. So if you hear noise in the background, some music, that's just part of the ambience here. Part of the benefit of bringing the mobile studio out into the world and talking to Josh. I am very grateful that you've taken the time. I want to continue looking into the future. And really, I like that you have a hopeful perspective. It could be a defeating perspective when you're dealing with criminals. I am grateful for those who want to be in law enforcement, because no matter how nice the community is, you always see kind of the downside of it. So tell me, how do you buoy yourself and your family up emotionally?
We do. We see as prosecutors and the staff across the street the worst of the worst. I mean, literally the worst of humanity, of society, and that can be very, very challenging. In the office, we're blessed with 5 victim assistant coordinators, or VACs, as we call them. And so there is a unique balance that is created in the criminal world when you see the depravity in this individual has harmed one or so many other people, many times children. And then on the flip side, you interact with those victims and they get to face their abusers in court. They get that moment to be brave. You see their world essentially change from, I'm not afraid of him or them anymore. I have closure. And that's because of the work that our VACs did, our prosecutors, our investigators, law enforcement from the beginning and to the end. And so, again, it's that unique balance of there's something terrible that has happened, but you have helped that victim walk through it. You've seen them hopefully enter recovery and therapy and counseling, and they have closure once that case is done. And I have to remind my family of that as well. But it is easy. You have to check yourself. We check each other. We have a great partnership with the Advocacy Center here. They offer free counseling to us at any point in time, and any law enforcement for that matter, and even jurors. We have had jurors on some of the worst cases come up after and say, I didn't sleep this week. How do you do this every day? And we're able to direct them to some counseling as well. But you do have to compartmentalize. You have to check on each other, and you have to find that positive. That takes some looking sometimes. Like Mr. Rogers, one of my heroes, said, find the helpers. And so it's that same mentality.
Talked to a lot of veterans. We've had him here on this show. Recently we had Dave Welsh, Cactus Rose Ranch. At 18, he enlisted into the Marines. 1 tour in Afghanistan, couple in Iraq. He came back, he said he was changed. I had an employee who sat on a grand jury, and in the grand jury, and maybe I can have you explain a little bit more about this, they're just determining whether or not there's enough evidence to bring someone to trial. He said it was so defeating because you knew that person was guilty. And it involved children, but it was determined by the grand jury that there was not enough evidence. And I think about post-traumatic stress. We know our veterans have suffered death. We know our first responders are affected. I'm thinking about your staff, about those jurors. Tell us about the grand jury, what that is, how that works, about the whole long-term impacts on people.
Yes, there's a lot to unpack there. I'll start by explaining the grand jury is made up of 12 individuals that are randomly selected, just like jury duty. They get called to grand jury duty, and 12 of them are selected. They are on this grand jury for 3 months at a time. They meet in our office every other week and will review anywhere from 100 to 150 cases. And that's just felonies. So that is going to be everything from child sex abuse to murder down to simple possession of methamphetamine. Yes, I usually tell them when they come in the first day, welcome, I'm sorry, but we're glad you're here. You are truly serving a vital role in this entire process. Without you, we could not proceed. And I think sometimes grand jury gets a bad rap, or people ignore it or don't understand it. But they are the first gatekeepers in that constitutional, can we prove it, do we have enough to charge somebody ultimately that could end with the death sentence or life without parole, and obviously restricting their freedom in various ways in between. I tell them to buckle up because they're going to see some really bad stuff, but we do have counselors that we can refer you to. They have that incredible job. They are moving at lightning speed. They, again, typically they're meeting outside of some special circumstance every other week. They get there 9 a.m. and they are there until they finish that day. It could be a slam bam. This guy got picked up for methamphetamine. The officers did a traffic stop. It was in his pocket. Next case. This guy committed murder. We have DNA. We have fingerprints. We have the gun. We check all the boxes and go. And then there are the complicated ones. There's the ones like your friend talked about that you just can't get there. And for those more complicated cases, we'll bring in the investigators. We'll bring in law enforcement and we'll say, you guys are going to have to sell this because I don't know that we've got enough. So you're going to have to present what evidence you've collected, and then we will come in and we'll say, yes, we think we can prove that beyond a reasonable doubt or not. Vital, challenging. Most of them, when they get finished, if I see them out and about later, they're like, I had no idea. I had no idea that was happening in my town.
About a year from now, you're going to be back on the ballot. Your family is supportive of this, I imagine?
Yes. Thankfully, my wife is fantastic, Kelly. We've been together over 20 years now. If you're listening, honey, I'm pretty sure it's 21 this July. Hopefully I got that math right. But I have 3 children. I have my oldest, Patriot, my daughter in the middle that's going to take care of all of us, Glory, and then my runner-up, my third, Maverick, who is in 3rd grade right now, and just he is the best go-along to get along because big kids and mom and dad have something doing, going, playing every night. He's just got to hang on for dear life and show up somewhere.
Well, people who listen to this show know that we are a patriotic show. Patriot, Glory, and
Maverick.
I can't think of better names for children. I don't know where you came up with that, but well done. Thank you very much.
Yes, they're strong. They're strong.
That's very good. Hey, we've talked about a lot of things, up and down. Josh Tetens here. We are in Glory Bell. Thank you, Mr. District Attorney, for coming over and spending time with us as we wind down our time together. And this is our second episode. I want to look into the bright future. You have a very positive outlook. Provide words of inspiration for people about Waco, McLennan County, the heart of Texas. Here we are for our state and for our country.
Just like dealing with the bad, there is good that comes out of that. And I think that we have an exceptional opportunity here in McLennan County moving into the future in the world of criminal justice. We've hit on this off and on. We've talked about some of the cases, some examples, but some of the things that I would highlight include our specialty courts, now called the recovery courts. That includes our veterans, our mental health folks, and our drug-addicted individuals. Those were not being utilized at all prior to my election. We have put such an emphasis on that, as well as our pretrial diversion programs, because it is our hope, our desire, if somebody can be rehabilitated, if we can still seek justice by doing so, we want to stop that path that they're headed down. Like I mentioned, juveniles. If we can get the community to continue to be more involved with our youth and stopping that pipeline, stopping those dominoes from falling. And I think between our court system, our law enforcement agencies, our office, nonprofit organizations, churches, the more I get out and educate folks about these programs and what our office is doing, I see a bright future. I think that more people are coming to the table than they ever have before. We are far from crime-free. We are far from perfect. And that goes on the other side of that spectrum of seeking justice through punishment, sending message to the community, things of that nature. But it still goes hand in hand working with those community organizations and law enforcement. We have one of 7 different tag units here, for example, the Texas anti-gang units. So we're unique in that world. We do have a gang problem here. We have 40 active gangs that we're watching right now. The majority of those folks, buckle up again, to use one of my phrases, are between the ages of 11 and 14. And that's intentional for juvenile and criminal justice purposes. And so addressing that is vitally important. But that tag office highlights that. They bring in local folks. They bring in school districts. We've got state officers there. We've got federal officers there. They meet weekly. They communicate with each other daily. Our office and all in whole. We've branched out and brought people together again that can be monitoring what's going on. I went to a meeting a couple of weeks ago at our local sheriff's department for property crimes. Many times those are related. They might recover property in one county that was stolen from another. And so you've got agencies from, again, the city level all the way up to the county, state, and federal level that are working together, that are meeting together. That did not used to happen. And so we're going to continue to encourage that in our office. And I think because of those relationships, because of that communication, as simple as it might be, we're addressing crime proactively. And so that's going to continue to help our community.
Josh, I just thank you for coming and talking with us here on the WACO Experience, an American Story. Thank you for your service. Thank you for the team that you bring to us. What are the final words you have for everybody?
I just want to encourage listeners to get involved, whether that's showing up for jury duty, volunteering somewhere, but even asking questions. Our office is an open book. We have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram page. We're trying to be cool. We're trying to be accessible. If you like dogs, we have a therapy dog. We didn't even get to talk about Hope, but you can follow Hope the DA Doodle on Instagram even. But we want to try to let people know it's not like it is on TV. We're not scary in this big, bad, beautiful, amazing courthouse and old annex that our office is in next door to it, but we're accessible. And if there's a sound bite that you hear, if there's a story that you read, you're not sure why we did something, we want you to ask us, communicate with us. And same thing on the outside. If you want us to come somewhere, if you want us to go talk to your congregation, your organization, your study group, whatever it might be, we are ready and prepared to do that and can talk on all different types of topics in the world of criminal justice. But just educating the community, making sure that they understand what our role is and how they can help, and being involved. And the fact that they're listening to this, that's a great step.
The WACO Experience, an American Story, is a production of D. Scott Smith Company, all rights reserved. Thank you for listening.